Hello my fellow crafters and welcome back to Inspiration for Cards. My name is David and today I'm going to be playing with something exciting. There's a new release from Elizabeth Craft Designs in the Planner Essentials collection, and that is, if you haven't seen it yet, this will be your first and it's going to be stunning because they are Planner Essentials, so that's difficult speaking. Planner Essentials, Planner Stencils. And those are two sets of fantastic new stencils. And the best part is that they are the size of your planner page. So yeah, I am very excited with that. So you've got two sets here. And these two sets both include 6 reusable stencils per pack. So you've got Planner Stencils 1 and Planner Stencils 2. Now let's have a look. I'm going to open up Planner Stencils 1. Because we're going to play with some of the stencils. I'm not going to play with all of them because that will take forever. But I'm going to show you some fun stenciling techniques. So these are 6 stencils I'm going to be using. I don't know which ones to use yet. I'll see. But they are stunning. This one I've already tested out. And what I did here, I'm going to show you. So what I did here, I ink blended this sunset color background. And then once that was done, I've put this over the stencil and did it again. So I first ink blended it like this using the oxides. Then I have put this on top of that and ink blended through the stencil again. So that gave me this effect. I'm not sure you can see it. There you go. So that created this darker effect over the first ink blended version. So yeah, I love how this turned out. Then what I did, I took the same colors, the darker color ink pad, and I've put that directly onto my stencil, like so. So I took my ink pad and I just went over it direct from ink pad to the stencil. Then I put the stencil on a piece of paper and I put it through my die cutting machine. And that created this effect. I love it. So that pressed the colors into the paper, giving it a very light structure as well. Not much, but there's some structure from the stencil pressing in there. So the lighter areas are slightly raised. And then what I did, I took what was left on my brush and I just blended over that to fill in the white. So yeah, this is already a very fun technique and very nice pages that you can use in your planner. So these are the first 2 examples that I made. Now, there's so much you can do with stencils, and I'm going to talk you through some of the techniques that I love, that I like to do. But obviously, there are so many more techniques that you can do. So yeah, the sky is the limit with these, because you're not limited to using them on planner pages. You can use them on cards, etc. But today I'm focusing on planner pages. These are very nice as well. We've got like the honey grain, all these different structures. Really, really nice. I've already used some on projects that you will see in the future. Not yet, that's for later. Something fun that's coming as well. But today I'm going to be showing you different techniques using the stencils. Now, the first technique I'm going to do is quite simple. I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to see which one I'm going to use. And I think I will use this one. This stencil, because I like the leafy floral thing. Now, you can do 2 things. You can line up the holes like so, and then you can ink blend, or you can do it like this and line up the other border, and then the holes will be covered with the pattern as well. Now, why are these holes in there? That's quite a good question. The holes are in there so you can store them, if you want, in a planner. Cool, right? So you can store them in your planner, but it also gives you options when you are working with them. So you can line up the holes, and if you line up the holes, you can see the pattern is running up the page here. or you do it like this and the pattern is running off the page there a bit, or you can line it up in the middle. You can do all sorts of things. For now, I am going to line it up like so. I'm going to take a piece of low-tack paper, low-tack tape, and I'm just going to stick that on there so it stays in place. And I'll do the same at the bottom. There. So now my stencil is staying in place. And what I can do now is I just have a piece of pattern paper that's coming from Reminiscence, the book 4. And I'm just going to ink blend over that. And I'm going to ink blend using an oxide. Now you can do so many things. You can do it very subtle. You can do it intense. As I said, the sky is the limit. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to take Festive Berries, and I've got these little mini ink blending tools from Ranger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my sponge thingy that's on the top there. Make sure there's enough on there. And then I'm going to take that and fill in these, yeah, I call them flowers, but and I'm going to go all around, trying to make sure I don't go into the other bits and pieces there. Now this takes a bit longer than using your normal brush and going over everything, but I think it's fun to create this multicolor thing on there. And because of these little foamy ends that are on here, you can really do some precision work and take different areas of the stencil at once. Now, because I'm doing this over pattern paper, and it's a light pattern paper, but that already gives that background a lot of interest. So this is really fun to do that with these stencils, to give them, yeah, even more structure. But as I said, this is just the first technique. There's more to follow. Right, that's all my red done. So I'm taking my Festive Berries and I'm going to put that to the side. And then I'm going to take a smaller brush. I'm taking a brush and I'm taking Rustic Wilderness. I'm going to load up my brush. And being careful not to go over the red parts. I'm just coloring in these green leafy things. I'm combining the brush with the little thingy that I've got, the little blending stump for the little pieces, and the parts that are really close to the red. Don't want that to be overlapping. Actually, this is going just as quick, so I might continue doing it like this because, well, why not? It's making life simple, so gives me more control. And here I can see just got a bigger area, so I'll just go over that. I'm thinking about a Christmas theme now. It's Christmas in April. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. That's too early, David. That's way too early. And this way I'm working my way through the whole stencil, making sure everything's covered. Now this is quite a simple technique, but it's taking the longest, I think, from all the things that I'm going to show you. Now I'm coloring in the final bits with this, I don't know how these are called actually. I'll link them down below if I can find them. They're from Ranger, I know that. Mini blending foam thingies, probably. I don't know. I'm just too excited about these stencils to think about the details. But I should be able to tell you. There we go. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to peel off just this part of the tape. one part of the tape, doesn't really matter which one. And see how it looks. There we go. Look at that. What I like is that I kept the holes free, so the focus of the page is on this side. And this is going into the little tub that I've got ready. So I can clean them all at once. Now, one thing that I want to do is just with the excess that is on my brush, just wipe it off slightly. So that's really not that much on. It's just going over the green parts, blurring it ever so slightly. Just blurring out this green slightly over the page, just making the lines a bit less harsh, but also it's, yeah, giving it more of a grungy, vintage look, which I like. We all know that. So that's that. So you make your own pattern paper. That's fairly what it is. So I'm going to finish this page by taking my frayed burlap and just etching the page, as I would normally do as well with my planner page. Just grunching up the edge of the paper. There we go. That's the first page ready. I love it. I love how you can take a background paper and just turn it into something pretty different like this. Okay, on to the next one. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you some fun technique with some pastes. So I'm going to put my tape behind paper like this, and I'm going to see which one I want to use, and I want to take this one with the numbers on it. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to line this up. So again, you've got choices. You can line it up with the holes, or if you want to have all the numbers on, you can line it up on this side. Then the holes will be covered with the numbers, but in this case, I am going to do this. I'm going to line up the holes and stick this down. Then what I'm going to do, I've got this petroleum color, petrol color, and this is a texture paste. It's called a relief paste, and this is pretty, and I love this color combination. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do that on this part of my mat, because the pastes will clean off more easily from that part of the mat. That's the silicone mat that's on there. So look at that. And it has a glitter in. And who doesn't love glitter? Well, I love glitter. So I'm going to take some of on my spatula. This is the Nuvo spatula, and I'm just gonna go over this stencil, filling in all the little nooks and crannies that are on there. So that's all covered with the paste. Putting the leftovers back in, because why waste it? Then I'm going to peel off the stencil from the paper. Look at that. Now this I will throw in my bin with water that I have ready, so I can clean it off later. What I'm always doing when I use pastes like this is take my finger and run that along the side so I don't have any sharp edges, like that. Peel off the tape. Look at that shine and sparkle. So I'm going to put this to the side. And again, I've used patterned paper coming from Reminiscence, the book. Yeah, love this. And even through the fine lines of the 7, it went through. So I'm happy with this. So I'm going to put this to the side to dry. Next, I'm going to create a soft blend using 2 different oxides. And I'm going to cover this page completely with these 2 colors of ink. So I'm really loading up my sponge because I want a good layer of ink on there. The better your sponge is loaded, the easier it gets. So that's on there. And so I'm using Victorian Velvet and Tattered Rose. What I'm going to do, without any rhyme or reason, I'm just going to color these pages. Now what I've got here is some mixed media paper. Nothing fancy. I think this is Vasa or Strathmore. I don't know which one I picked. I'm coming in with the Victorian Velvet. And again, just putting that ink on there. So these are going to be quite soft colors. And that's for a reason, because I'm going to do something to this using, surprise, surprise, a stencil. Just creating some sort of a blend in between these 2 colors. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to do quite a lot of things to this piece of paper. That's why I've got mixed media paper, because it can handle what I'm going to throw at it in a minute. I like these 2 colors together. It's got like an old-fashioned chic feel. Does that make sense? Old-fashioned chic. New fashion trend. Now, for the people that don't know, the oxides, Distress Oxides, are a hybrid ink between pigment and dye ink. You've got the normal distress inks, and those are dye inks. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of the properties of Distress Oxides, and that is that they oxidize. That's why they're called oxide. But I'm going to do that after I put on some texture pastes. So because I'm going to put on the texture paste, some of it will stay bright and full of color, and the rest will oxidize, which is something that I really like. Making a beautiful blend between the 2. And that's another benefit of oxides. They blend so easily. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's good enough. So let me see what stencil I'm going to use. I think I like this one for this particular background that I'm creating. Look at these beautiful stencils. I love it. Love, 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 love it. Yeah, this is fine. This is quite delicate, but that's good. Now, again, I'm lining up the holes and putting some low-tack tape over the edge to keep the stencil in place. So I've just done that at the top to keep it in place. And I'm going to take my spatula. And what I've got here is I've got the texture paste from Ranger in transparent gloss. I'm going to put that over this stencil. Just taking a blob, holding down the stencil. Now this is a lot smoother than the paste that I've used before. So this is going quite quick. Make sure you press it in all the different holes that are there. So press, press, scrape the excess off. Make sure you cover all the holes that are in there. Don't scrape too hard, because then you will scrape it out of the holes. And we're already nearly done. Making sure covered everywhere. Okay, next what I'm going to do, because I don't want any structure on there. So I've got one of these little things. This is a scraper. Nothing fancy, just you can buy it at every hardware store. I'm just going to scrape off all the excess, giving it a smooth surface. Just like so. And then I can scrape off the excess and put that back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to peel off that stencil and throw it also into my water bin. And I'm going to put this aside to dry. Okay, this transparent gloss is already dry, and look at that. It's nice and shiny, but I'm going to do more to it. You can already see, if I zoom in a bit, you can see that it's slightly darker under the paste. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my water sprayer. This is the distress sprayer, but you can use any water sprayer you want. And I'm just going to spray water on here. And what this will do, it'll cause the oxides to oxidize. So I'm going to give that a second to do its job. And you can already see that it's standing out even more. I'm going to take a piece of paper towel, put that on there, and just press it on. Look at that. I'm going to take my heat tool and dry this, and then you will see it will oxidize even more and make this pattern that we've made with the transparent gloss stand out even more. So do you see what happened? The parts in between where I sprayed the water, it oxidized, and under the gloss paste, it's still the original color. I love this effect. So there's loads you can do. Now I've just oxidized the other colors. You can also come over this with a completely different color, blend over it, because the transparent gloss will act like a resist. So these colors will shine through. So even if you go over this with black, it'll work. You can do the same technique with embossing powder. So if you use your embossing ink through the stencil and then do embossing powder, that's a technique that I will do in another video, because I've got some other ideas that I want to share with you. But this is, again, a beautiful background. So I'm going to put this to the side as well. So we've already got some nice backgrounds, right? We've got this one, we've got that one, and we've got the glittery one. That's still cold, so it's still not dry. So I'm going to leave that alone. But yeah, look at that shimmer. Can you see it? Beautiful. And what I've done, I've just used a simple background paper. So this number really stands out. And on the other side, you've got another page that you can just use in your planner as well. So not fussing around with it because it's not dry yet. These two are perfectly dry and ready. Love it. So next, what I'm going to do, and let me see which one I'm going to use for that. I think I'm going to use, I'm going to use the circle one. So I've got another piece of mixed media paper here, and I'm going to line up my holes again. I'm going to line up the holes, or am I going to do it like this? Well, let's do it like this for once. No, I'm going to line up the holes because I like that the holes are then always free. I'm going to put that over here because I'm going to use my texture paste again. And for this one, I'm going to use my Distress Texture Paste Crackle. Now that's going to take some time. Taking my spatula again. I've got several of these, and I'm going to press this through the stencil. Just going over that, making sure everything is covered. All the circles are filled up with this Crackle paste. Don't do too thin a layer because otherwise you will not see the crackle. And we want to see the crackle, right? And then I'm going to peel this off. revealing all that goodness. So now this looks like normal paste, just smooth paste. Nothing wrong with that. I like the normal texture paste, but this is fun. So I'm going to put this to the side, leave it to dry, and we'll come back to that later. So we've got some pieces drying, and this is going to be fun when it's done. Now for my last technique, I'm going to use my gel press. I've got my jelly plate here. This is the Ranger one. In my experience, it doesn't really matter which one you use. I'm going to work with some stencils on there. I think I'm going to use this one. Let me see. I'm going to use this one with the swirls. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brayer and I'm going to take my, wrong color, the lightest color, and that is Bundled Sage. I'm going to put that on the gel press. Just using my brayer. Now, you want the brayer to pick up the paint, so don't go back and forth. No, just let it go in one direction, pick up that paint. Not paint, but I'm just gonna brayer that onto my gel press. Now, I know it doesn't seem like much now, but trust me, there's a lot of ink on there now. And also on the gel press, I'm just going forward, lifting it up, forward, lifting it up, forward, lifting it up, or backwards, lifting it up, backwards, lifting it up. That prevents a lot of the lines that you can put on there otherwise. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper and I'm going to brayer off the excess ink onto my scrap piece of paper. Then I'm going to take my A4 size paper and just put that right on top of this. Pressing it on there, getting good contact, and peeling it off. And here we have a nice, simple green background. Now, I'm going to give it a second layer. So I'm going to pick up some of this paint, ink, I should say, and putting that back on there. And roll that off again onto my scrap piece of paper. Now this you can use to die cut from as well later, right? Next I'm going to take my distress sprayer and I'm just going to put some drops on there. So I'm not going to spray the whole thing. Now the good thing about this sprayer is if you pull it, let me show you, if you pull it towards you completely, you get a fine mist. But if you do it halfway, you get some droplets. So that's what I'm doing now. Because I don't want a complete spray on there. Just want some droplets, because we know now that it oxidizes. I'm going to take my piece of paper, line that up a bit and put it on there and press. Again, have good contact with that paper and the gel press. You can use your brayer to go over that like so to make sure it really pressed down. Don't have to, you can use your fingers. If you have one of these easy to glide things or other stamp tools, you can use that to go over it. As long as you can make good contact. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Now we've also got some nice patterns on this. But you say, hey David, you were gonna do a stencil technique. Yes, don't worry, we'll get to that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my Rustic Wilderness, which is the darker color of the two. Going to load up my brayer with that. There we go, nicely loaded. And put that on the gel press. Then I'm coming in with my stencil. I'm going to put the stencil on there just like so. Then I'm going to take my paper where we made the background color and make sure that it's centered and put that onto that stencil. And then it's important to take your fingers and make sure you really press it through that stencil, making sure to pick up that whole pattern. And the best thing is to use your fingers because then you can feel it. Now this paper, I've challenged myself a bit because this paper is quite thick, to be honest. It works easier when you have a thinner paper like this. This is copy paper, a good quality copy paper. It's thinner than this 300 grams paper that I have here, but I'm still gonna make it work. So pressing that through that stencil, making sure it's really going through that stencil, it's contacting the gel press. And then I'm gonna lift that up. Now look at that. Isn't that a stunning background? I love it. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take my Planner Essentials die. I'm just figuring out, there we go. Line that up with this and I can cut it out and we've got a page. So that's what I'll be doing now. So here we have our planner page. Now there's a white edge here. I could have lined it up slightly better, but we can actually fix that by just pressing this part onto the ink that is on there and peel off some of the excess ink that's still on there. See, that's fixing my error and giving it the color we want. See? Now it's already a lot better. There we go. So that's another page done. I love this. Look at that. So there's so many things you can do with these stencils. Now, what I'm going to do is, this is just for fun. Normally I would, when I do a gel press session, I've got many pieces of paper lying around. So I'm going to not let anything go to waste. But in this case, when I peel off this stencil, there's going to be structure on the gel press. I'm not sure you can see it on camera, but I'm going to take this scrap piece of paper that I've used to roll off my brayer, and I'm going to press that on to the gel press, like so. Now I like working on the gel press using inks. I love working on the gel press using paint as well, but with ink it's easy to clean. It's less messy, and you've got matching colors for everything. So yeah, okay, there we go. Now look at that, another great page. I love this, and I can use this as a card base, or even I can cut it out for my planner. Yeah, like that. So again, opportunities. Here we have the original one, but I did go ahead and cut out the second one as well. Now, when I would be working in my planner, I would do it like this, and we've got a nice matching color in my planner. Nice spread for 1 week or whatever. You can do whatever you want, but I really like this. And I love this how this turned out. So that's another 2 pages done. Now let me see, where are we with... And this one is dry as well. So yeah, I'm not going to do anything to it anymore. I think it's lovely. It's perfect. It's got nice structure. It's got bling bling. So that's done. Okay, this is all nice and dry. And look at that crackle. I love it. Can you see it? There you go. So it's now white on white, which is pretty. Can be fun. But hey, I've got ink sprays, so I will be playing with those. I'm going to... just going to spray some here and there, like so. And then I'm going to take my tea dye. This was weathered wood. This is soft greenish, grayish. And this is a soft brownish color, beigey. I think is fun to combine. And then I'm going to take my water bottle and I'm going to spray it. I'm just going to let that work in, do its thing. Let it react. Look at that. That's already fun. Okay, beautiful. Nice color combination this is. I gotta remember that. Like that. Yeah, like that. Now what you see again is that this is sort of acting like a resist, right? But I'm not stopping here. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking frayed burlap and I'm just gonna go over the areas. Just rubbing that in with my finger. Not everywhere, just accentuating some of these crackles that are in there. What I'm doing by wetting my finger is really making sure that this sinks in to those nooks and crannies that are in that crackle. And I'm scribbling some onto my mat, wetting that, picking that up. So I'm just playing fairly. No rhyme or reason. I'm just trying to accentuate all the cracks that are in there. Like so. And what you can already see is that the frayed burlap is grabbing on to all these cracks that are in the crackle paste. That's what I want. I want to really accentuate that effect. There we go. And that's enough. Doesn't have to be all like that. So next step and final step is I'm going to take my frayed burlap and I'm going to grunge up the edges. Just like so. Okay, and here is the final page done. I love this effect. Look at that. But these stencils are really pretty. They're delicate. The circles are nice and delicate. They work well. I mean, even the finest points are transferring, and that's really, really good. So what have we got so far? And that's quite a lot, let me tell you. So we've got this one that we made with the crackle paste. We've got this one that we've made with the glitter texture paste. Love this. Then we've got these two that we've made with the gel press. We've got this one that we've made with the transparent gloss paste and the oxides. We've got this one that we've made just by stenciling ink through. Simple but effective. And then I've got this one that I've made before using two different techniques as well. So those are just a couple of examples of what you can do using these fantastic new stencils from Elizabeth Craft Designs. Two fantastic sets, Planner Essentials Planner Stencils, set 1 and set 2. Yeah, brilliant. There's loads of opportunities you can do with it. This is just the beginning. I've just got started. So I really like the fact that you can mix and match and make your own background using background paper, as I did with this one, or just, and with this one as well, because these two are made actually with the pattern paper from Reminiscence to Book 4. So that's, you can achieve great things with that. But yeah, also using texture pastes. I love it. So thank you very much for watching this one. If you like this video and want to see more like this, please consider to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you will not miss out on any of my future videos. Also, I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, that was it for today. So thank you for watching this one, and I'd love to see you for the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.